Imagine exploring the world with your family, all while spending next to nothing on travel. That's exactly what our guests, Jordan and Courtney, have mastered. From hiking the rugged trails of Chile to navigating the magic of Disney World on a budget, this dynamic duo has cracked the code on frugal family adventures using points and miles over the last 10 years. Today, they're here to share their secrets on scoring incredible deals, overcoming travel challenges with kids, and crafting unforgettable experiences without breaking the bank. Whether you're a seasoned points enthusiast or just starting your journey, this episode is packed with tips and inspiration to help you embark on your own budget-friendly family adventures. Get ready to revolutionize your travel game and discover the possibilities of frugal and nearly free family travel. Welcome, everybody, to the Revolutionizing Your Journey podcast. I am your host, DeAndre Coke. And before we introduce our fantastic guests for this week, just to give you an update that we actually have our best credit card offers updated for the month of July. The link for that's in the show notes. If you find our content helpful, we'd love for you to consider using our links to sign up, as it supports the show. And don't forget, there's no difference in our links versus you just typing in and Googling a specific card. It's all the same. Just the benefit goes directly to us and to the show. Now, on to the most important part. Today, we've got the benefit of having Jordan and Courtney of the Frugal and Free Travelers today. And I'm super, super excited for you guys to get to hear from them. They are a family that specializes in budget-friendly travel, but also luxury travel at the same time. They've got great stories of how they've done the points and miles game and done a little bit of the travel hacking in Disney World, hiking through Chile, and then like bouncing through Europe. I mean, they've got some really incredible stories I'm excited to get into. And they were actually recommended, if you recall, back in episode 20 from Mary Ellen of the Wonderland on Points episode. And so, Jordan, Courtney, welcome to the show today.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, DeAndre. Excited.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, would love, before we get into all the travel nuances and stories and points and miles and everything, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Tell us about your family, your backgrounds. Would love the overview.
Yeah, we've been married for 13 years, and we have two little girls, Lyndon, who is 8, and Merritt, who is 5, and they keep us busy and on our toes, as you could imagine. Jordan grew up in Texas, and I grew up in Michigan, and now we live all together in Indiana, which is great, but definitely gives us some motivation to, travel from time to time.
Got to get out a little bit. I understand that.
Yeah, for sure. We live like a normal suburban life here, but Jordan works as a leadership development director at a church here, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. So we like to spice it up and travel the world.
Awesome. I love that. So very cool. So how did the journey for you all start in the points and miles world, right? Did you guys just say, hey, we need to travel, we need to get out of here, what's the most efficient way to do it? Or did it take some time to kind of ease into, or did you come across this kind of randomly like a lot of people did? So what was the start for you all?
I think the thing about me is I'm pretty type A, achiever, driver, where Courtney's a little bit more of a free spirit, less of a planner, more of a creative that doesn't like to be confined too tightly, which I love. Like we're a great match, but like I'm the guy who always wants to do retreats, we're just two of us. We get together and we set yearly goals and create family values and all that. But then I learned quickly, like, that wasn't going to fly with Courtney. Like that was just too formal, like just downright cheesy for her. But the one thing I did get away with doing was like setting our financial priorities, like us coming together of like pretty much right when we got married of like, hey, what is going to be the priority when it comes to our marriage? Cause like I wasn't following in the footsteps of her dad, who was a financial planner. I know like you, or my mom was like an amazing sales rep, making a decent amount of money, but again, like Courtney said, like I work in nonprofit, DeAndre. So like there's only so many things we could prioritize in the budget. And And so we landed at travel, and Courtney staying, working from home as much as possible, and then just being generous with what remained. And so like with those values in mind, though, meant we had to find a creative way to be able to travel as much as we wanted on about as middle class income as it gets. And so like we got in on it pretty early. Like my first card was the Chase Freedom in probably about 2007 or so. I think like maybe just a year after it launched. And then my next card was the 2% cashback Fidelity rewards card. So focused on cashback cards for probably 7-8 years before I dove into points and miles cards. And my first one of those was the Chase United card about 10 years ago. And then next card was a Chase Sapphire Preferred. And I bet no one on your podcast has ever referenced that card before.
Never. I mean, it's never been talked about ever.
Never. But fast forward today, like between Courtney and me, honestly, we're probably opening a new card about every 2 to 3 months. So probably about 8 to 10 new cards a year between the two of us. And obviously now we've learned a lot more. So we prioritize credit cards that earn transferable currencies. Like we both just went on a run of referring each other to all of the Chase Inc. Business cards back and forth. I think we earned like 750,000 Chase points in about 10 months.
Nice.
But honestly, we've been at it for so long that we've exhausted a lot of like the American Express gravy train is like left the station now. We're on to kind of more like tier 2, tier 3 type cards. Like we just opened up the past couple of weeks, the Chase IHG business card and the Alaska Airlines business card. And so, yeah, we're in it, man.
Got it. So I will say, taking a step back to your point on, your planning and like that mindset and like goal and the retreats.
Yep.
I will say this, coming from, I think you said your father is a financial advisor, coming from a standpoint of being a financial planner, like clients like you are the ideal, and like, hey, like how do we plan out and like, structure the finances to make room for all these things, right? Like, and especially when I hear from a client and they're like, yes, I want to figure out how to get travel in my plan. I said, trust me, we can get travel in your plan. Doesn't matter what you do, we can get travel in there. So that's super cool. So awesome. So 8 to 10 cards a month. I mean, I got to ask you guys, right? You're opening these cards. You're 8 to 10 a year. Sorry, you're right. Yes. 8 to 10 a year. Correction. 8 to 10 a year. Got to ask you guys. I mean, I am sure your credit score is just in the gutter, right? Like it's got to be just terrible because you're opening all these cards.
Yeah. Mid 400s for sure. Yeah. No, actually when we started, a decade plus ago, like mine was mid 700s. Courtney's was pretty similar. And both of ours are like mine's 815 and hers is really, really similar. And so, as that credit utilization ratio gets smaller with the more available credit, that's such a huge part of, obviously a credit score as well as, your on-time payments. That's a good chunk of the credit score. And so it's actually jumped up.
Got it. So Courtney, question for you. Who would you say between the two of you is more of the driver in which card we're getting next? Is it, do you guys both kind of strategize what makes the most sense? Because I mean, this far into the game, you're right? It's a lot harder to get, you have to really strategize what you're going to do next. Cause as you said, you're already into like tier 2 and tier 3 cards. And, not many people are going to talk about the IHG card, which can have a lot of benefits, or the Alaska card. Yeah. So Courtney, who would you say between the two of you guys is more of the strategist, or do you really figure this out together?
Have you heard the term passenger princess?
Yes, I have. Yes.
That is me. I'm a passenger princess when it comes to credit cards and points and miles. I'm along for the ride. That is Jordan's baby for sure. I handle the other side of the travel sphere, but that's all him. I take the credit card he gives me. I use it when I know I have to, change up the Amazon one of every few times, but that's about all I do.
Hey, you know what? That's completely fair. That's completely fair. For my fiance and I, I'm the one that's super analytical in the weeds with the redemption strategies and what's the next card and all that.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, what card am I getting next? What are we doing next? What's the strategy?
Yep.
And then I also find myself as the one driving in all the countries we go to. So she's thrown that term at me before, the passenger princess.
100%. I've never driven in another country.
Well, got it. Absolutely love that. So you said you handle the other side of travel. So I think I saw one of your reels on Instagram. I think you're the queen of packing, if I'm not wrong there.
Yeah,
so
self-proclaimed for sure.
Yes, awesome. So what outside of packing, what's the side of travel that you say you really handle?
I do a lot of the planning and the packing, and planning as far as we do a lot of team effort with who's going to research where we're going and plan the restaurants or the activities. But I would say I probably do, what do you think, 80% of that? Depends on where we're going. But I'm the one that's usually doing the research and coming up with a, loose plan of what we're going to see and do. And then, all the nitty gritty details of what to pack and how to pack it is all on me.
That's cool. There's a lot of similarities because that's exactly the same way it works as well. She's usually lining up, she's also a foodie. She's lining up where we're going to go eat. She's adding to our shared Instagram folder of places to go in different places. And I'm just I'm in the country. I'm just along for the ride at this point. And she always plans a great itinerary. So I've never really worried. So that's really cool. So you guys started in this space. Was there... and actually, I think this is a great question for you, Courtney, because it sounds like, Jordan, you're super analytical and you're kind of driving the decisions on what cards we're getting. For you, Courtney, did you come to be on board with it from day one, or you're like, this process of applying for cards is kind of sketch? What was your thought process as you guys initially started down this road, many years ago?
That's a super interesting question. Like Jordan said, I grew up with my dad actually as a financial planner, and they, from when I was young, always had a credit card that they earned points on. And so I was familiar with the concept even from being real small. So I was never afraid of it. It wasn't a concept that was new to me. And so when he just started, amping it up and going real hard, Jordan also just has a personality that is really driven and really detail oriented. So it's hard not to trust him in something like this. And frankly, it got us to what we wanted to do without, paying an arm and a leg. So it didn't take much to persuade me. That's for sure.
Got it. Very cool. And so how do you guys balance, right? This desire, and not just desire, but you guys actively do it, right? Travel, going to really cool places while having two young ones. How are you able to manage that? Would love to hear a little bit of background of, and also, how do your kids deal with these long flights and hiking in different countries? They're super young, and I've seen you guys your content's awesome, right? You guys go really cool places. How do you manage this as a family? Because I'm in the camp of what we call a dinkwad, right? So dual income, no kids with a dog. And that is for the foreseeable future. So would love to hear how you guys are managing this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, they're in the public school, so we travel primarily on school breaks, and, might take a couple days here and there if we need to, but it helps because our schools here in Indiana are a balanced schedule. So it's like a 2-week break every time there's a break, which helps a ton, with traveling, because it just gives us a good long time to get out and be where we want to be. Otherwise we are pretty homebody-y. We like being home. We like being with our friends, but, we make some sacrifices. We don't say yes to things that maybe other families do. Like when Jordan's talking about budget wise and making it work. So even with our kids saying in regards to our budget, when we have to tell them no to certain things that we haven't prioritized, it's to make our life and our priorities of traveling or me staying at home, work. And so we communicate that really openly and honestly with them. But then, as far as them managing the long flights and the hikes. They've just really learned to love it. And we watched other travel families doing it. That really inspired them from when they were little. And we do a lot of bribery. I'm not going to lie. You get to this part of the hike, you get a sucker.
Love it.
And long flights is like one of our big sayings in our family is, once we're in the air, we just don't care. You're going to do whatever you're going to do to survive. You can watch as much TV as you want to watch. We don't, like at home, we limit it, but if we're in the air, it's free for all. So you can eat what you want to eat. You can watch what you want to watch. And it's literally about surviving and keeping the peace. So they're really excited. They love it. And they love the idea of adventure and travel. So it's not too hard. And honestly, I think that practice makes perfect, or not perfect. Practice makes better. They get more and more used to the expectations. We get better at figuring out how to present things to them. And, they've just gotten better and better at it through the years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I have friends who don't have kids, and they're like, yeah, once we have kids, like the travel game's over. And I'm like, who says, like kids are going to kid wherever they are. So might as well do it in a cooler place, and then,
right.
And then you just train them young. Like they were, like Lyndon was on her first flight 3 weeks into her life, like it just is just norm for them. And so I think you do it and then you get better.
I love that once we're in the air, we don't care. Like that's a really cool rule. I mean, it makes complete sense, right? Like, hey, okay, survival mode at this point, right? Keep them happy. But I've never heard anyone say that before like that. So I love that. Once we're in the
and to clarify, like when we're on the plane or in the airport, they don't get their screens at all. Like they have to use the other things that are in their backpacks to entertain them. If we're in the airport, we're walking, or they're sitting and doing something from their backpack. And even on the tarmac, they have to wait until we are literally, you can see the clouds. And then they look at me and we go.
Love it. Awesome. So we're in the air now. We're heading to a destination. Where are some of the more memorable or recent kind of experiences or trips that you guys have had, whether just the two of you or as a family? I know you posted a lot of really cool things about Disney here over the recently, but I'd love to hear about Disney, but also any other great places that you guys have been in over your travel points and miles kind of travel story.
Yeah, our most recent one of our more recent trips was we did Portugal and we did Madeira, and we fell in love with Madeira. Would highly recommend. It was like they call it the Hawaii of Europe, and it's really what it felt like, but it felt so much more untouched than Hawaii does. So it was really cool to explore with the black sand beaches and the waterfalls. And so you had the best of both the hikes, and it was just breathtaking every time you turned around. There we did a really intense hike, more intense than I bargained for. It was about an 8-hour hike, up and down the steepest stairs you've ever seen. And we took our children. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing the entire hike. You can just take a couple hours and do it, but it took us 8 hours, and our kids did it. We did it a lot with Merritt on our backs in the carrier, but, they just showed us it was like the hardest thing we've ever done as a family, but I think the most proud of us collectively that we've ever been. So that was a really cool experience. And just all of Madeira, we were there with my parents and getting to, get the best of both worlds, beach and hikes, was just a really special, one of our favorite trips for sure.
Very cool. Jordan, what would you say would be one of your highlights outside of that trip?
Yeah, so we've used the sweet spot from Alaska mileage plan for flying LATAM Airlines from the U.S. to South America in business class for only 45,000 miles each way, 2 different times. So Courtney and I went to Peru last May, and that was unreal, like doing ATV tour in the Andes, salt tour, Machu Picchu. It was unreal. And then with the girls earlier this year, we went to Chile with all 4 of us, and we love, obviously, shoulder season. I mean, our biggest trips are usually fall break with the girls and spring break. And And so just it's usually shoulder season, so it's a little cheaper, which like we said, we love the frugal piece, but then also just less crowded. And so we had an Airbnb that was like less than $200 a night that, looked like we're in Malibu right on the coast of the Pacific Ocean. That normally, if you were in Malibu, it would probably be, $1,000 a night. And it was just unreal. So that's one. Another kind of one that I love to brag on was a couple of years ago. We went to the Arizona Biltmore just for 2 nights. And we used American miles, nothing wild. But we had $920 in credits to use in just those 2 days. So we used the $200 Fine Hotels and Resorts credit from the 2 different American Express Platinum cards that we had. So one in Courtney's name, one in mine. And so, yes, one of us checked in the first day and then the other on the second day. So it was borderline shady maybe, but, and it was August. So that's probably why it was so cheap. But normally a hotel at $600 a night, was $299 a night. And so minus the $200 credit. So it was, the rooms were $99 a night each. And then, like I said, over the 2 nights, we got $900 to spend on property. So I think $500 was from a bonus that the credit the hotel was offering at the time that I saw just I think in a Facebook points and miles group that I'm in. And then $320 in Fine Hotels and Resorts property and breakfast credit and $100 from Hilton Diamond status that we have with our Hilton Aspire card. So yeah, just our family of 4, we lived like kings, $1,000 to spend at one resort in 2 days. It was yeah, I'll have that Bloody Mary. Sure.
Yeah, our kids didn't know what to do with us when we were normally saying no in our regular life. We're like, yes, you can have this slushie. Yeah.
We are known for no's. And so that was weird to say yes to literally everything.
That is awesome. So when you actually did that, because I've seen that done before, I've done it. We've done it ourselves. When you guys did it, so you booked let's just say Jordan, you booked the first night, Courtney, you booked the second night. Yep. Did they actually make you check out, or did they keep you in the same room?
It did make us check out, but it worked out because we got upgraded to one of their nicest suites the first night, and it wasn't going to be available the second night. So it's we'll take the suite the first night, and then we moved over just to a regular room the second night. So.
Got it. Okay. I was wondering because I've seen a lot of times where I think it's probably a 60-40 chance, but I've seen many times where you're we can make it work. But it is cool that you got to experience the suite for at least one of those nights.
Yep.
So tell me more about this Disney trip that you guys did. How did that come into play when it came to points and miles? Because we really don't get into a lot of Disney talk here on the podcast, and I know there's a lot of families that do listen. So how did you guys pull off Disney? I know Disney's expensive in general, right? So there's the travel there, there's the hotels, but then just the park passes alone are expensive. So did you do everything points and miles? Was it a mix? Obviously, no food and other things, right, are not going to be. But how'd you do Disney?
Yeah, we did every cent on points and miles except for food, like you mentioned, and maybe a couple Uber rides to the airport and to the parks. So for flights, we used American miles. And again, we love American miles. We find a ton of value from them, constantly just finding one ways for 10,000 miles or less. And then we used some of our Capital One Venture X travel credit for the hotels. We just stayed at a Marriott pretty close to Disney Springs. And then we used Capital One miles for the tickets. So if you book them through Disney Underground, you can, get those, they trigger as travel, and you can redeem them for 1 cent a point, which I know some might think that's not a great value. You can transfer Capital One miles to blank and blank and blank, which is true, but we have other spots for that. We've got a lot of American Express points. We've got a lot of Chase points. We've got a lot of city thank you points. And so hey, let's splurge a little bit, and make a Disney trip for free. It's do what you want with the miles. Even if it's not the maximum value, if it allows you to do something like Disney that just isn't in the budget for us to do out of pocket.
Well, and then if you're talking points and miles, I'm just going to add my 2 cents, which is you don't have to do Disney and spend an arm and a leg. I mean, obviously it's expensive, but there are ways to just do it a little bit more frugally. For us, we always order groceries, or if we have a car, we'll go get some groceries, and we pack and eat breakfast on the go. We pack our lunches and our water bottles. And then sometimes that means we get to treat ourselves to a nice dinner there, but we, we buy our own ears here. There's just ways to do it that isn't like you don't have to just shell out. Of course you can do that if that's part of the dream and part of what you've budgeted for, but there's ways that you can work around and still have a really magical time that make it just not hurt so bad.
I think that's super smart. And I know you guys do, part of your name, right, is frugal, right? So you guys really strategize on how to be frugal and how to travel for nearly free. So would love to get into more of the strategy now, right? So how have you been able to manage, 8 to 10 cards opening a year, right? How do you keep track of their spreadsheets? What apps do you use? How do you keep track of where everything is? And how do you manage that all? I think this is a question for you, Jordan. That's what I'm guessing.
It's been a lesson over the years. So we use the Travel Freely app to track our, 524 status. You've probably talked about that in other episodes, but Chase's requirement that you haven't opened more than 5 personal cards over, 24 months. Like when we've opened up cards, when our minimum spend for sign up bonuses is due, things like that. But because I got burned a few times where I, maybe forgot to set up auto pay or, set up a reminder to close or downgrade the car within a year. Like I also, like OCD, have a backup spreadsheet where honestly it's a repeat of the same kind of information, but it's just to make sure, like, I also add in there like when certain points and miles will expire just to make sure we don't lose any. So I've got that backup spreadsheet. I also use a checklist that I made for every time we open up a new card. Again, it's just to make sure I'm not forgetting things like setting up auto pay or whatever. And so that's a big thing where I just have the same kind of automated, replicated, process for every time I open up a new card. And so I don't lose anything in translation. That's a big part.
Hey, it's DeAndre here, and we're going to interrupt this episode real quick to tell you about 2 great opportunities for all of you. First, join our private Facebook community to connect with fellow points and miles enthusiasts, get exclusive tips and updates, as well as get your questions answered directly by me and others in the community. And if you're looking to level up your points and miles skills, we've partnered with Lux Travel Hacks to offer you 50% off their online course that will teach you all the basics you need to know to learn how to travel in business or first class, all for less than you'd pay for economy. Don't forget to use the code BOLDLYGO at checkout. You'll find all the details and links to both of these in the show notes. Now, let's get back to our episode. Perfect. So yeah, Travel Freely I know is talked about a lot. And it's a super popular app, right? Because it's one of the better, if not best, apps out there to help keep everything organized. And then of course, you mentioned the 524 rule. Always important to be aware of what that is, and of course Travel Freely makes it easy to track that. So we'll make sure to put a link to Travel Freely in the show notes as well, because it is such an instrumental app, and I know we've mentioned it over many episodes in the past. So you stay organized that way. I'd love to ask about challenges then. So what has been some of the challenges whether it's more family travel in general, because you guys are doing long haul family travel, whether it's packing, whether it's trying to find 4 either business class or economy seats together, whatever it may be. What have been some of the challenges that you guys have faced while working in this points and miles world?
Yeah, so you're right. Like sometimes it's tough to find business class seats for 4, whether it's Europe, South America, Asia. But you asked the question earlier of like, how do you make it happen? Travel with a young family, like that does help. Like when they're on an overnight flight and they're laying down, that makes it a little easier. So we do try to find those. And so I just always say, first and foremost, focus first on earning points, and lots of them, right? Like if you want to fly with your family 4 business class to Europe, South America, wherever, like, yes, there's been times where we've flown for less than 40,000 miles, a few times in business class because of some sweet spots. Like we've done the Virgin Atlantic miles to fly on Delta One suites for $50K, which if that hasn't disappeared by the time this episode airs, it might. But there's this like weird glitch on Avianca's website where you can fly TAP Portugal from New York City to Lisbon for less than 35,000 miles. So we transferred American Express points to do that, even though it's like 60 something on the way back, the same route, which is weird. But most of the time it's going to cost you at least 60,000 miles, for one seat, one way in business class from here to Europe, here to South America, like when we flew Swiss Air a few years back to go to Switzerland. So like 240,000 points for our family one way. And so it helped that we earned like 640,000 American Express, membership award points from one platinum sign up a few years back, but that's probably a story for another day. We have a blog post on it on our website, but most sign up bonuses are getting you more like 100,000 points. So just like accumulate. But then from there, like learn the programs that offer high quantities of business class seats. So Swiss Air, Turkish is a good one, Air France, LATAM, Lufthansa, Brussels Air, American sometimes. Now, if you're okay with economy, like we rarely have trouble finding availability for most of those programs. And then on flights, the only other thing I would say is like know when the award availability opens up. So most of the time it's 11 to 12 months ahead of time. So like just be ready to pounce, because most of the time most programs open up a specific amount of seats. And then once they're gone maybe until like a week before, 2 weeks before the flight. But with a family of four, we're not doing any too much, last minute travel. So that's for flights.
I'm gonna cut you off real quick before we move on, because I can't just gloss over a 650,000 point sign up bonus. How long ago was that? When did that happen?
So that would have been, oh man, I'm probably gonna butcher it. Probably like 21, 22. It was when they had, it was like 150,000 point sign up like baseline. And then they had it where it was like 15x on, I think it was like restaurants and like small business spin up to, like 500,000 points or something silly.
Gotcha.
And so we just maxed that out, like got gift cards at a local grocery store that triggered as small business. We just lit it up, dude.
That is awesome. That's awesome. We're gonna have to check out that blog post. I'm gonna go to your site, which we'll link in the show notes, and crawl through that, because I've not come across that one. So that's really cool. And so I know I completely cut you off, which is like the one rule of not interviewing, but I had to like definitely interject it because that was so out there. I just had to call that out. So you covered flights, and then you're about to move on to hotels.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, our biggest struggle sometimes is when we're in Asia, Europe, like occupancy rules, and so we love the Hyatt family rate, where you can book the first room with points or cash, but typically we're booking the first one in points, and then the other room is going to be half price, and so we'll usually book that one in cash and just pull something from our budget, so that's been really successful for us. Hyatt suite rates aren't always terrible. They're not bad. And then every once in a while it's okay. Like we have a specific amount of our budgeted money for things like Airbnbs. And then every once in a while we might use the travel eraser for lodging for Capital One. But most of the time we just have success in using most of the, largest hotel programs. Obviously Hyatt, Hilton with the 5th night free, IHG with the 4th night free. We just finally got on the Marriott train just because I kept hearing horror stories about the Bonvoy program. But I was like, again, we're at the tier 2, 3, tier 4. Like I'm like, all right, it's time to give it a go. But we don't usually have too much problems with hotels here in the States.
And you just mentioned having getting 2 rooms. And so I think that might be a foreign concept to a lot of people here in the States. So what are typically the occupancy rules for like a Europe or an Asia? Is it 2 people? Yeah. Is it 3? Is it obviously if it's 4, you guys would be fine, but it sounds like you're running into certain scenarios where you're having to book 2 rooms just for your family.
Yeah, it's almost never 4 in Asia and Europe. Some are 2, some are 3. But almost always, unless you're paying for like a actual suite rate, which usually are somewhat astronomical in cash, you're you're having to book 2 rooms. And so sometimes we've done it, like we've used Hilton points. We stayed at the Hilton Vienna in Austria for 5 nights, and we booked 2 rooms, and it was adjoining rooms, which was good, which was fine. But then we were in Venice last year, and we did the Hyatt family rate thing where we booked 1 room with points and the other like half price in cash, and it was great.
Awesome. Pivoting a little bit, and this is for you, Courtney, because I know you're the one that's finding like the itinerary or putting together the itinerary and what's happening. And I know you're also more the photographer as well. So when you guys are on these amazing trips and you're going to these amazing destinations, what are you looking for activities wise for yourselves, for the kids? I know we already covered hiking, and then the 2 of you guys did some ATV riding. So it sounds like you've had some really cool experiences in general, but what actually are you looking for? What are you wanting to do on these trips?
Ooh, I love that. It depends who you ask in our family. Our girls would tell you hiking and swimming. I would tell you food and history. And Jordan, what would you tell us?
Yes, all the above.
Yeah. He's kind of a combo of everybody. But I would love to swim and snorkel too. But yeah, we are always kind of looking at everything that is going to make everybody a little bit happy. And that means that mom and dad get a vote too. You know, if I want to go and do a walking tour with, a Rick Steves in my ear, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to let them listen, or I'll listen to it while we walk around in the city and tell the girls about it while we're walking. Like, we're not going to just cater our itinerary to them. But if we stop and see a playground, we're going to let them play at that for a little bit. And, or if they make it through, like I said, bribery is key. And if we make it through the walking tour, there's gelato at the end. So everybody wins. But yeah, we all of us love food. We love to be foodies and try things, and the girls love it too. So that's definitely a big part of it. But we love adventure, and I really love history and finding, cool historical places to explore. So I think it's a little bit of everything, especially because there's 4 of us, 2 of these. But yeah, it depends on where we are too. If we're going to be somewhere that's primarily beach, then we're going to be swimming and beaching it a lot. So just depends, really.
Got it. Awesome. So a little bit of a balance for everybody. So everyone gets a little bit of what they want out of a trip. So that keeps everyone happy, everything balanced, and everyone having a really memorable experience, which is super cool. So
for sure,
as we start to go in the direction of wrapping up here, what would be some advice that you guys would give to beginner families that are traveling with kids? So maybe they didn't go ahead and take their 3-week-old on a trip. They've been a little bit nervous, maybe, not super comfortable yet, worried about travel. So that family that has the 1-year-old or the 5-year-old or even the 10-year-old, what would be your advice for them that they still want to get out and travel? They want to go, and they were one of your friends, Jordan, that said, had kids that can't travel anymore. What would be your advice?
I'd first just look at them and say, just start. Just do it, because you're never going to figure out what works for you or if what your kids are truly capable if you don't just start. And like I said earlier, practice makes better. If with everything in life, with kids especially, what they become accustomed to, it takes the practice, it takes the effort. And I'm not going to lie and say it's always easy. It's not, but kids aren't easy. And so if they're going to throw a temper tantrum here at home or in Venice, man, I'd rather them throw a temper tantrum in Venice where I get to look at some cool stuff. So yeah, just start. Their kids get better at it. You get better at it. I've found, especially one of my key things is through the airport, less stuff is better for me. Less stuff equals less stress. So when I see parents just in the airport laden with things, I'm like, oh, they're never going to want to do this again. We go through with a backpack each, and that's it. We just make it as simple as possible for both us and our kids. But yeah, just start. Don't overcomplicate it. And I'm here to say, I do all of this, and I struggle with a substantial amount of anxiety. We're about to head out to Kenya. Like we said, in a week, I'm going to fly with the girls to Kenya all by myself. something I've never done. And I'm doing a lot of deep breathing and, a lot of self-talk to get myself like, I can do this. It's going to be okay. We're going to be there. And you know what? They're going to kid on the plane. They're going to kid them. Like, it's going to happen. So I'm just going to deal with it the best I know how. And I'd rather push through my anxiety of that, or any anxiety you have about traveling with kids, because my priority is getting there. So I'd say just do it. Push through your worry, push through your anxiety, and your kids are capable of so much more than you think. Like, they are really tough. They want cool experiences. They want to see and experience new things, and they can handle so much more than I think people think they can. So that's been really cool. And not to mention, we just feel like better parents when we're traveling. We're more engaged. We aren't holding our phones and, just in that. So we like experiencing things with them, and it just brings us all closer. So it's been really special. And so, yeah, just start would be my main tip.
Awesome. I love that. Jordan, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Yeah, let's say you're wanting to get healthier and move your body a little bit more. Like, you're not going to first start running a marathon, right? You're going to just go run a couple laps around the neighborhood. And so, like Courtney just mentioned, that we're heading to Kenya next week. It's like that's the marathon level, right? We've had 10 years of experience doing it. Like, maybe it's like you like going to Gulf Shores, Alabama, do that. But then maybe for the hotel, you use Hyatt points, like you get that Chase Sapphire Preferred or whatever. And then you use points for just a small portion of something you love doing. Just start there. What's that equivalent of running around the neighborhood with points and miles and travel with your kids? And then maybe you get better at it, and then you ramp up to more of that marathon as the years go by.
Super cool. So just start. Don't start running with the marathon. You don't have to take the kids to Kenya tomorrow.
Yeah.
But right. Just start. Get out there. Get your first batch of points. Use them. Redeem them. Take the kids with you and experience what that's like. Love that advice. Absolutely love that advice. I know you guys are great on giving recommendations because you guys have an ebook on how to travel frugally. So without giving away all the secrets in the book, would love to hear, what is the ebook about?
Yeah. So I wrote it a couple years back, and it was just everything that was in my brain when it comes to points and miles. And so it goes the route of like, hey, maybe the Southwest Companion Pass is the best thing for you if you like more domestic travel, and you don't want to think too hard, and you don't really necessarily care about the elaborate, lie down seats, over the Atlantic. Like, you just want 2 or 3 trips a year, and most of them to be pretty much paid for. Or it's like, no, actually, Jordan, I want to, Courtney, I want to do what you're doing. And so then we've got kind of like a choose your own adventure. Like, if you remember those books where you can kind of like, okay, no, I want to go down this path, and here's how you do it. Or I want to go down this path, and here's how you do it. And so it's like, $20-$25, nothing too wild for the hundreds, if not thousands of dollars that it will save you over the years.
Very cool. So, guys, you just mentioned Kenya's coming up. I know by the time this will have aired, you guys would have gone and been back. So for the listeners, you're going to have to go check out their profile to see the stories and the content and all that they're going to put out for it, because I'm sure it's going to be great. But outside of Kenya, any future trips or any dream destinations? I mean, you guys have been doing the points and miles game for 10 years now, but we haven't been to every country in the world yet. And so what's the dream destination that you guys have that's coming up?
Oh yeah, for sure. What I would always keep saying to Jordan is, I love that because of what we do, our bucket list just keeps growing. Like, there used to just be a few, and because we know this is our lifestyle, we just kind of keep adding to it, which has been really cool. But top of our list has always been Greece. So we finally booked that for fall break next year. So we're really excited about that. And another one coming up is Turks and Caicos for fall break, which is cool because, we drag our kids around Europe and intense hikes a lot, and they've been begging to just swim and snorkel. And so I said to Jordan, like, listen, I love Europe and Asia and Africa as much as you guys do, but we got to get them in the water and let them play a little bit. So yeah, those are a couple coming up we're really excited about.
Yeah, DeAndre, we actually listened to your episode with your wife talking about Greece, and so we were on the fence of like Santorini, like that's always been top of my list. But then I don't know,
Yeah.
I heard a couple negative reports about it, like it's cliche, it's whatever. And then, but hearing you two talk about it, I'm like, yeah, no, that's going to be on our list. I don't care what the haters say. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we are also doing Disney again in November. So Courtney's parents, like we're very blessed. They are DVC, so Disney Vacation Club members, and so they get to they're covering the lodging for us, which is always a big component. And then we'll obviously use miles to get down there, flights, and then I've done the Disney gift card thing, like when I see a good deal at Sam's or Costco, or like I've done the Capital One shopping portal where sometimes they'll send me a random email like, hey, you can get, use your rewards for 30% off Disney gift cards. And it's like, okay. And so I've got like this giant stack that we have. So we'll use that for the tickets. And we try to do a friends trip, like an all-inclusive. I think we're looking at like the Dominican in February. So yeah, it's a lot on the docket, man.
But dream-wise too, we've another one. I think we're still trying to get to Asia. I haven't been to anything in Asia yet. So that's definitely like we would both love to see Thailand or Indonesia for sure, Japan. So like I said, our bucket list keeps growing, but those are some of the ones that are dream destinations for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, we actually have Singapore coming up in a couple of months, and so we're actually going to be doing an episode in a few weeks from this one that will be like our breakdown of points and everything like that. Nice. If not waiting till after we get back, one of the two. But Thailand's still my favorite country of all time. As far as Santorini and Greece, so you said when did you book Santorini or for Greece? Do you remember like what time frame you're going?
We're actually doing it like the first couple weeks of April next year.
Okay, got it. So you're going at a really good time. It's like that might be right before the tourist season starts. But what's really cool about that is it's before the tourist season starts. So all the parts that are like they're cliche, et cetera, is because it gets so crowded. We ended up going, ironically, Memorial Day weekend last or 2 years ago. And that was still early in the tourist season. So there would be like a cruise ship that would show up, like a Mediterranean cruise ship. So not like a huge carnival ship, but a cruise ship where deeper in like July, there might be like 5 or 6 coming into port on a single day. And so it was never chaotic. When we went, there were restaurants that only been open for a few weeks. And so their staff were kind of newer, the ones that didn't live on the island. So it was a perfect time to go. So I think when you guys are going is going to be great because you're going to have space. You're going to have to go to places that aren't going to be saturated. So I love the fact that you heard the podcast and you're like, we should do it. And the fact that you're going to be going at a great time. And so, haters can hate. You're going to have a fantastic time. And it is a place that is visually stunning. I'm
so excited.
It's going to be great. So I can't wait to see the experience that you guys have going there as well. And the other piece of advice that I would also share is don't spend all your time on the cliffs because that's, of course, everything that you see in Instagram and everything else. The complete other side of the island, it's like an angle, right? So it actually is like what is that? Whatever the Pythagorean theorem that we learned in math class was about. It slopes, right? So the high side is on the cliffs and the bottom side is on the ocean. And so the ocean's where all the beach clubs are, and it's just a completely different vibe from the cliffs. So if you get a chance to rent a car, I know Courtney, you're not going to be the one driving if you do, but it's super easy to drive around there and rent a car and experience it. So I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah, we're so excited.
Awesome, guys. Well, awesome. This has been fantastic. Would love to hear, how can the audience connect with you? You said you have an ebook. I know you got the Instagram. What's the best way for them to connect with you? I want you to plug everything.
Yeah, for sure. There's certainly a few ways, and it depends on like Jordan said, pick your own adventure. So if you're just wanting to kind of catch up with us or follow what we're doing or just get really quick bite-sized pieces of points and miles information or traveling with kids, Instagram is for sure where it's at. And it's the Frugal and Free Travelers is our handle. We toyed around, speaking of the name, we toyed around a lot with the free travelers, but we knew that it wasn't all about free, and it's not always all free. Like there's still money that comes into play, but we try to do it as frugally as possible. So we had to make it long and a little obnoxious. But so, and then if you're wanting more in-depth, with as far as the ebook goes, or you can book consultations with Jordan on really more catered, with your more catered goals. So he does a really awesome job with, in person or, online, consultations to literally just make up a plan for you specific to what you want to do with points and miles. So whether it's to get you going, whether it's to plan a trip. So all of that, the ebook and booking consultations, including our blog too, which is more in depth that he goes into, is the frugalandfreetravelers.com.
Awesome, guys. Awesome. So before we wrap up, 2 last questions for you. First one, who next should we have on our show?
Yeah, we love Sarah from Flying High with Five. She's awesome. We love the mom trotter. She's hilarious. Definitely worth bringing on. Or if you're more interested in, traveling with kids, Elise with 3 Kids Travel is amazing as well.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, we're going to reach out and try to get them on the show as well. Guys, before we wrap up, last question, any final thoughts at all before we go? Anything you have left for the listeners? You gave some really great advice, really great content. When we're in the air, we don't care. Just start. Heard a lot of really great things. Any last final thoughts that you guys have to share?
Yeah, I think since I'm on the points and miles for the most part,
Yeah.
like a big one that I've seen is like, don't hoard points. Like, airlines and hotels can hit you with a devaluation at any time. So like, you've probably heard the phrase 1,000 times, but earn and burn, and it goes against your instinct, like, right. Like, especially DeAndre, you as a financial planner of like, hey, let investments sit and watch them grow. It's kind of the opposite of earning, just, let it simmer. But miles aren't an investment, right? They aren't like your 401k balance that over time will ideally appreciate in value. They're depreciating assets, and treat them like that. You use them as soon as you earn them. And I know that feels weird, and you love seeing those balances grow, but like, no, you want to see them grow to actually do what you came into this to do, which is travel for as cheap and as freely as possible.
I'd say, as I sit here and talk to them, you guys talking shop and using words and phrases that I don't even really recognize. And even if I think about trying to do it on my own, it sounds really overwhelming. So if I'm speaking to the people who are listening to this, and think like, oh, this is too much, I can't do this. There's too much jargon. I just don't understand it. I don't have time for this. We're here to tell you that you do, and you can do this. And like he said, you don't have to start the marathon right away. You can start by taking a walk around your cul-de-sac, and we can help you do that. And there's so many other, Instagram accounts and other tools out there, but just like we said with the kids, just start. Find someone you resonate with and ask the questions or buy the ebook or whatever it is, but take that first step out your door, because it's so worth it to be able to, have those dreams of things you never thought maybe were even possible, but you can do it. It is attainable, and it doesn't have to be as overwhelming. And these people who sound real smart and, have done it for 10 plus years, they can, pare it down and make it really bite-sized for you. So you can just take it a step at a time, but do it. And I promise you won't regret it.
I absolutely love that advice from both of you. I love the earn and burn. Jordan actually never thought about the complete difference points are from investments. So yes, it's like I would never encourage a client to drain your investment account. But yes, earn the points and drain them. I've never made that connection before. So you just it was like a mind blown moment here, like light bulb went off. So I absolutely love that. That was fantastic. But Courtney, also for you, right? That just just the start, right? Anybody can do this.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
super complex. It can get as complex as you want it to be, but at
For
the same
sure.
time,
Yep.
you can just start and have an incredible experience and start traveling. And that's why this podcast is called Revolutionizing Your Journey, because all of us are traveling and living our journeys and taking our journeys differently. And we're doing it in a way that
Yeah.
0.9% of people don't do when they travel. So Jordan, Courtney, super gracious and grateful to have you guys on the show today. This was wonderful. A lot of really great nuggets, a lot of really great tips. I'm sure for those that want to get even more and they can choose their adventure of what route they want to go, they got to go to your website and take a look at your ebook. So we'll link your website, your Instagram, all the things in the show notes as well. Guys, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it, DeAndre.
Absolutely, guys. And for the listeners out there, if you love Jordan and Courtney's story, please make sure to follow them. And if you love this episode today, please make sure to like, tell your friends, subscribe, do all the things. And if you have any questions in your Points and Miles journey as well, reach out to people like Jordan, reach out Courtney, myself. We're here to help, and we're here to continue to support you in your journeys as well. And you know what? We'll see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.